Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. This is very exciting.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry it couldn't be Jon Stewart, but it's
No, this is even better. A couple of Asians on national television. Let's go.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but you are not white.
That's a newsflash. Thank you.
Newsflash, you're not a white guy.
Yeah.
And you are mayor in a city that's extremely red.
The state is red. My city is bright blue.
Sure.
We are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are very much a. We are very much a democratic city.
Right. But how did you do that? Is a very important question.
Yeah. Well.
No, seriously. How did you do that?
Look. It is really the honor of my life to be mayor of Cincinnati, and the fact that Cincinnati voters gave me a chance, I think, really reflects the values and priorities of my beloved city. Ronny, I know that you're a coastal Asian,
yeah.
but we are very proud Cincinnati's proud to be the destination for the Underground Railroad. The same city of Harriet Beecher Stowe, the same city of reforming our problem-solving oriented policing.
Okay. We get it. Cincinnati's awesome. Blah, blah,
it
blah,
is
blah.
awesome.
Okay, yeah, great.
Have you been to Cincinnati?
I've been there many times. We talk about I do shows there all the time.
You have.
I'm not even saying this. Surprisingly great city.
Thank you.
Surprisingly, I didn't expect it.
I'm going to ignore the surprisingly, and I'm just going to focus on great
focus
city.
on the positive.
Yeah.
I went there. I was at low expectations. I was like, this is going to be bullshit. And then I went there. And then I walked. It was beautiful. It was clean.
Yeah.
People were super friendly. It was clean. I was like, what's going on here? Who's in charge of this?
Yeah, this guy.
And then I find out it's this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah. How did you do it? Can you answer the question? We get it. Cincinnati's good.
Yeah.
How did you, a non-white guy, despite your best efforts, you're not white. How did you convince these white people to let you run this city?
Yeah, look, there's no secret, just hard work. Going to voters, knocking on their door, asking what the mayor or the city can do to improve their lives. And over again, we heard issues around public safety, around housing, around affording grocery and healthcare costs. And our first term, we're really focused on that. We invested $1 million to wipe out medical debt for over 100,000 people. A third of the city, Ronny, has now been relieved of their medical debt. We tripled affordable housing.
Yeah, but that's... half of Ohio issue for some reason. Look, that's after you got in office.
That's
How
right.
did you... first of all, what kind of non-white are you, specifically?
Yeah, thank you. I am half Tibetan and half Indian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
first and foremost, how I won is being in this country, which I put entirely that the courage, the risk to move to this country at my parents. And I'm very proud of the fact that I'm the son of a refugee. My mom is from... My mom... Ronny, my mom's in the audience, so let's keep it...
Oh, yeah? Where's your mom?
Let's keep it PG.
I'm being careful. Stop with this unearned love fest. I don't know what the this guy has done yet, okay? Hello, auntie, amitofo. Sanzai.
But look. The reason that we were able to be successful is part of the reason why my parents came here. As I mentioned, my mom grew up in a refugee camp in southern India. She met my Punjabi father because against all odds, she got an education. They got married. And of all places in 1980, they moved to Beaver Creek, Ohio. And so what I learned as an American, particularly in a place like Beaver Creek, Ohio, where I'm half Tibetan and half Indian, was empathy, being able to connect with people and put myself in their shoes, yes, to make them comfortable with me, but also for me to get comfortable with them and understand their issues. I really do think that has been part of the secret to our success of actually listening to folks and really providing results for their challenges.
I understand. Listening to folks, okay, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We get it. Okay. I'm just saying that, yes, you are incredibly good-looking. So you listen to people, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying that this is a very divisive time. And you're running you're not a white person, and you are presumably a little bit progressive, which I'm stereotyping based on your political affiliation. In this time when, like, the Democratic brand is very toxic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of this progressive stuff is very toxic in the middle of the country. So how did you get elected? How did you convince these white people to get you in charge? And don't tell me about your mom, okay? Your mom, I get your parents are awesome, blah, blah, blah.
They are awesome.
Okay, they are awesome. They are, for the record, they are awesome.
Yeah.
Hello, Auntie, Amitofo. Thank you. I know. What, give me, I think it's important because you are, how did you convince these people to get on board with what you're trying to do?
Yeah, again, the only answer I have for you is politics is about empathy, particularly at the local level. You probably have 30 seconds or a minute in front of someone, and you're probably never going to see them again. You probably don't have the resources to get on TV and have a big, campaign. And so this time in front of that person is critically important. Mm-hmm. And in order to earn that person's vote in a very short amount of time, you have to convince them that you understand their issues, that you're passionate about their issues, and that you're going to fight like hell to fight for the things that they care about. We have been successful in doing that, not just through rhetoric, but also through actually delivering results. And that's the difference. I know that you guys are more focused on the federal level, but that's the difference between federal politics and local politics. Mm-hmm. That federal nonsense doesn't work at the local level. Sure. You can't just run for office and blame other people for the issues. You can't just spin and obfuscate your way out of these problems. When you're mayor, if there's a mass shooting in my city, if I hold a press conference or give a speech or hold a hearing, people are going to think, what is wrong with you? They expect their mayor to go after the bad guys, put them in jail, hold them accountable, and make sure that that doesn't happen again. This nonsense at the federal level doesn't work locally, and we understand that in Cincinnati and are delivering for our citizens.
Okay, that's cool. So, for the idiots at home, I know the answer to this, but just so you could educate the people at home, what exactly does a mayor do? What does a mayor do?
Well,
we all think we know, but nobody actually could tell me what the a mayor actually is supposed to do. So if you could just explain what the mayor of Cincinnati.
Yeah, first it's important to understand that it's a real job. The mayor is responsible for running the city, right?
Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that.
But people believe that if you turn on the water and it's too dirty to drink. Mm-hmm. People believe that if you call 911 and no one shows up.
So that's you.
People believe that if you don't plow the snow or if you don't pick up the trash, all of that gets done because of city services, the 6,000 public servants that work for the city that make sure that it runs on a very elemental level. So, of course, the mayor is leading that, but there's also an important aspect of the job where you're the moral voice for your city. When things are going well for your city, it's your job to encourage and build a coalition to make sure that that continues and to share credit. When things are going poorly, it's on you. You're the one that takes responsibility. Mm-hmm. You own it to try and fix it. That is the difference, in my view, between mayoral leadership and what's happening at the federal level. Mayors don't have the luxury to avoid hard issues. We have to deal with the difficult issues in front of us and deliver results for our citizens.
Okay, so let's talk about dealing with the real issues. He said nothing. He said nothing. You guys are so gullible. You guys are so gullible. Let me ask. Let's be nice and let's apply. Yeah, it's important to be nice and do good stuff. Yeah, that's all he said. So let's talk about real stuff. You talk about solutions.
Yes.
So let's talk about housing.
Yep.
Housing in Cincinnati.
Yeah, when we got into office, we unfortunately didn't have a housing strategy in Cincinnati, and as a result, our home prices and housing costs have gone through the roof. In fact, Redfin does a national survey almost every year, and Cincinnati is often at the top of that list for percentage of rent increases year over year.
Okay.
The good news is we're growing as a city, so more people are coming to Cincinnati.
So indication that the city is getting better when the rent increases?
So the good news is because the population is growing, that means we have the resources to do the big things that we want to do. But the challenge is our housing stock at the same time as that population increase,
Yeah.
you'd expect it to go up proportionally. It's the worst case scenario where we've actually lost housing stock at that time. So there's more people living in my city and fewer houses for them to live in. So we have to do hard things like preserve the housing that we have and build new housing.
Yeah, so
New housing.
what are you doing about it?
We're building new housing. So we have rezoned our city, the first city in the state of Ohio to comprehensively rezone our city to legalize housing, to legalize duplexes and triplexes and quads, row homes and townhomes, which are naturally more affordable. In addition to that, we put over $100 million into our Affordable Housing Trust Fund and have tripled the rate of affordable housing construction in our time in office.
So is this as simple as just deregulating? Because this is kind of the abundance Ezra Klein theory right now.
Yeah.
It's like Democrats there's too much regulation, well-intentioned or not, and we can't get stuff done on the ground because of all this stuff that's happening. So is this part of that, or?
This is absolutely part of it, and that's why mayor's the one leading the charge, because in American politics, there really are three parties: Republicans, Democrats, and mayors. Mayors don't care if your idea is conservative or liberal as long as it's effective. And what we do have is overregulation of housing construction, particularly with zoning. Look, zoning is incredibly exclusionary in a lot of the country.
It's also incredibly boring. It's so boring. But
Look, you were asking earlier how we get elected and how we actually deliver results, and now I'm explaining it to you, and you're still yelling at me.
No, I'm not. No. I'm empathizing with you. I'm saying that it's a boring subject, so to get people to care about it is tough. I'm empathizing with you. I'm not yelling. This is just how I talk normally.
That's how you talk?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So how the are you going to fix it?
But here's the thing. But here's the thing. It's not boring. Zoning is incredibly controversial in communities because people have this idea that you want to build like a skyscraper on their residential cul-de-sac, and that's why zoning is so exclusionary. A majority of Cincinnati neighborhoods were zoned single-family exclusive, detached single-family, which, in another way to put it, were zoned for the most expensive type of housing. You could not live in most of these neighborhoods unless you could afford a detached single-family house. And 50 years of that has led to a city that has concentrations of poverty and is far too segregated. This is not just a housing problem that we're trying to fix. This is a problem of how we grow as a city, how we design our cities in order to be diverse, be multi-ethnic, be dense and walkable.
So I know there's no one-sentence answer to this, but essentially you're deregulating it so it's easier to rezone things. Is that what you're doing, or is it?
Yeah, yes, that is part of what we're doing.
Is it working?
Yes, we are. We've tripled affordable housing construction in the time we've been in office. But it's not just, I mean, if you really want to talk about it, zoning is part of it. But that's not going to.
I really don't want to talk about it.
That's not going to.
Yeah.
I want to talk about it.
I know you do, but I think the other point I want to get to is you clearly have solutions and they're working with the zoning. The other thing with these problems is that, I mean, what I read in your fake briefing notes that you gave me, that I don't even. No, I'm joking. You didn't give me. In my own research, it's that this zoning issue that you essentially got started with in your first term.
Yeah.
And it led into your second term.
Right.
And you kind of saw results in your second term. So I want to bring this to a more broader issue in politics in general, in democracies, is that sometimes the solutions take more than a term.
Yes.
And you have to be comfortable with either someone else getting the credit for it or running for re-election before the solutions kick in that people can feel it.
Yeah.
So how do you square that circle?
You've put your finger on a really interesting challenge for modern politics because people really want solutions right now. They want their rent stabilized. They want their healthcare costs, pushed down and made more affordable immediately. And at the local level in particular, it's not that easy. There's no secret button to push to fix all of these things. It takes dedicated public servants, particularly at the local level, to have those hard conversations and iteratively work to reform systems, which over time will deliver big results. But at the same time, you've got to be focused on the quick wins that you can do, like relieving a third of the city of medical debt, or the baby bonds program that we've started to send more kids to higher education or to a trade school.
Okay, so if the solutions were so easy, why didn't the other guy do it before you?
Which guy?
I don't know. Whoever the guy before you was.
Oh, gotcha. He tried. We look, generational challenges with poverty and gun violence take time. They take courage, and it's important to lean into innovative solutions like zoning reform that have been ignored for too long because they were too hard and controversial. But look, what I love about being mayor is I'm the one person in our government that's not focused on 2 or 4 years or re-election, but what are the decisions I'm making right now as mayor that's going to impact the city for the next 2 generations? That's what we're focused on, and that's why we're changing at the systems level to unlock some of this abundance and growth.
Like, what do you mean systems level?
So rezoning is a systems level.
Right, okay, let's not talk about that. But I guess I'm very interested in, like, I'm such a political history nerd,
Yeah.
you know, and we admire these statesmen in politics.
Yeah.
And I'm always interested in that dynamic between the fight between being a statesman and being a politician. And the way it was defined to me was a statesman is someone who thinks in generations as a leader. And a politician is someone who thinks in election cycles. And so in America, you're trying to be a good leader,
Yeah.
but you gotta get elected to do your next thing. So for the next term, to continue the plan. So how do you square that circle?
But I think that's good, right? Because we can't have just high-minded people thinking about 100 years from now when people can't afford their rent and are getting evicted, or when we have just massive wealth disparities in our country. We also need to be focusing on acute challenges on the ground level. And that's why mayors, I think, are uniquely positioned to do that, particularly when we see the toxicity at the federal level. You know, mayors don't have the luxury of being in silos and only talking to people who they agree with. I have to build broad coalitions across the city in order to get things done, not just at the statesman level, that's generational thinking, which is important, but also to drive results for the people living in my city who need help right now. That's the fundamental balance.
So you're talking
it's not
about
an either or.
Sure, you're talking about practical bipartisanship in a lot of situations. So you're the man on the ground in Ohio right now. You are seeing the elections play out, local elections, hyper-local elections. What is the vibe on the ground as an actual human on the internet and not in the comment section? So what are the people like there? What's the vibe? Is there like a sense of there's conservatives and then there's MAGA people? Are they the same? Are the MAGA people disillusioned? What is your vibe of the middle of the country?
I think regardless of your political affiliation, people are angry. They're angry with the political establishment. They're angry that these same challenges continue to face their families. I mean, look, if you're in organized labor and your grandfather was in a union, it's 3 generations later and you're still on the edges of our economy, you would be pissed off too and looking for something to change. I think a lot of what we're seeing in our politics right now are people who are fed up with the same old politicians and the same faces going to D.C. every year with the same solutions. And so people are fed up, which is why I'm so excited about the state of Ohio this year, because we have 2 extraordinary candidates running for both U.S. Senate and the governor. Sherrod Brown for Senate and Dr. Acton will be our next governor in the state of Ohio.
Okay,
and that's a huge opportunity. How are you so popular when you disdain your audience so much? You could never be mayor. That doesn't work.
Good. I'll have you know the audience finds my disdain for them surprisingly charming.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Half these people come from a cruise ship around the corner. They're not even American.
Really?
Yeah. They're here for the World Cup. There's no game today. They came to this. They don't even know. They don't even know what Cincinnati is, and they're wondering why 2 Asians are talking on camera. So you're talking about there's anger on the ground, okay?
Yeah.
No shit. I think that's pretty obvious.
You asked the question.
I know. I'm just saying it's a pretty obvious point. Okay, so you're confirming the vibe. The vibe is that there's anger on the ground. We're not imagining it in our coastal elite cities. Right. The greatest city in the world, New York City. We're not imagining the anger that's happening. So how do you how do you bridge that gap, I guess, you know?
But by meeting them where they are. I mean, you know, I'm as frustrated with the Democratic establishment as anybody else. I mean, you know, 2024 better be a wake-up call to us. We lost to Donald Trump again, and we did it because the Democratic Party establishment failed the American people by running the same kinds of candidates over and over again and focusing on the wrong things like wealthy donors rather than everyday American citizens like the ones in my city. And look, your previous segment did, I think, a really good job of talking about one of the fundamental problems in our institutions, and that is there are way too many old people at these top levels. It's true. It's true.
Good.
And look, it's not. It's because substantively they are so far removed from what's happening on the ground in cities like mine. Look, 50 years ago, median home prices in Cincinnati was $40,000, and it constituted a fraction of your income. Now it's $400,000, and it's a huge portion of your income. So it's no wonder that young people and vulnerable communities no longer believe that the American dream applies to them. They don't think they're going to be able to afford a home or a car, and we need elected officials who are a new generation of leadership who are closer to these issues. You know, when you're that old, you're so far removed from it, and so I think we need age limits for both Congress and the Supreme Court.
Sure. I'm late to this game. I've been shitting on old people for almost 15 years now. Okay, I was way ahead of this old people shitting on that. I'm with you completely. Well,
Great.
Anyway, yeah. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Thank you for running a great
Absolutely.
city. Thank you for representing in a local level and a national level. I really appreciate it. Everybody, it's Cincinnati Mayor Aftab Pureval.